Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for joining our session today. My name's Annie Ramrachia. I am a DM at Secret Spa and I am delighted to welcome you to our very special guest today. We have a very warm welcome for our inspiring beauty entrepreneurs. So we have Nicky Matthews, who is the founder of Sienna X. We have Pauline Paterson, the founder of Dr. Paw Paw, and we have Claire Aggarwal, who is the founder of Perfect 10 and the COO of Re Beauty. Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. We cannot wait to hear about your journey to scale beauty products and service businesses. So this session is going to be a panel Q&A and we will be opening up questions to the floor at the end as well. So be sure to pop your questions in the Q&A link at the bottom and we will try and answer as many as we can. So how are you doing, ladies?
Good, thank you.
Very good, thanks.
Good. Lovely. Okay, amazing. So we'll get into some questions then. So first up for Pauline, did you always set out to be an entrepreneur?
No, definitely not. I mean, I think I always knew that I wanted to own my own business. And because I came from sort of the hair world, I probably always thought it'd be more in that. So I always kind of knew I wanted to be my own boss. But I probably never imagined myself starting a beauty brand, and running it and making it into what it is now. So
amazing. And then in terms of Nicky, do you feel like there is ever a right time to start a business, and how do you know when you have the right idea?
I think it's, I don't think there's ever a great time. I think there are times that in your life where you've got no choice or you've got nothing to lose, so you might as well give it a whirl. But more than anything, you've got to make sure you've got the right concepts, you've done the research, you've seen what the competition is doing, and you've got your commercials right before you even start pushing the button. And that depends whether you're starting a smaller business or a bigger business. Obviously, the bigger the business and the bigger the risk, I definitely think it's take your time and do all your research and be as curious as you can be.
Right, amazing. And Claire, to you then, in terms of risk taking, what's been the biggest risk that you have taken through your sort of journey?
Oh, good question. I think going at it alone, leaving that secure job where you've got that income every month and going, right, now's the time to pull the plug on the job, because there is a point where you have to do that and you have to go, right, I'm going all in and I'm going to make this work. And I really remember that with Perfect 10 and going, okay, if I don't put all my energy into this, it's not going to work. So yeah, I think that's the hardest point as an entrepreneur, to know, one, when to do it, but also to have the confidence to do it.
Amazing. And then in terms of work-life balance, I guess this question is for all of you. How do you manage the work-life balance? Because obviously owning big businesses and being super, super busy, but also having loads to do outside of work, is that something that you find a challenge in? And how do you sort of get around that?
Who's going to go first?
Go on, you do, Nicky.
I think work-life balance is pretty tough because you have all best intentions, and I think one of the best advice I got was from my first mentor at the very, very beginning, and he always said to make sure you've got your holidays booked in, because you'll always find an excuse not to go on holiday. So that was one thing I definitely learned. But work-life balance, I think when you start your own business, it becomes your baby, and it's known as a baby that never grows up, and it's so true. It's always a baby or a toddler at most. Can't leave it alone. And it's fun though, isn't it? Because when it's your own business, it's really fun. But yeah, absolutely, learn when to turn your phone off and give eyeball contact to your family as you're talking to them. But yeah, that's the toughest part.
Yeah. And I think it's really important, because otherwise, if you don't do that and you don't give yourself space, you actually burn out. Mm-hmm. So if you want to give the most to your business, you do have to try and turn your phone off, even though it is actually impossible. So
it's really tough, but again, I'm actually really grateful for technology, the fact that I can leave work, pick up the kids, give them dinner, put them to bed, and then answer emails, whereas before, I guess it was just also office based and you had to have your big computer and stuff like that. So I think whilst yes, you work around the clock, particularly again if you're international, because again when the Far East wakes up or when America wakes up, it's a constant circle. But I think the privilege is knowing that you can literally pop the kids to bed, go downstairs, and then I can get through my emails, you know, even if it is 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So yes, I mean, it is a vicious cycle, but it's nice to be able to do that, to have that freedom to do that.
Yeah.
And then Pauline, do you feel like with the COVID situation of working from home, do you feel like that's helped you have that more flexibility with the family? And do you think that's been something that's been a benefit, or do you think that's been something that's been a bit of a pain and a difficult thing to navigate through?
Yeah, no, I can't lie. It's been a real struggle because, again, I've got younger kids. My son, Jackson, is 6. So, you know, he's in year 1. He's just learning to read and write. You know, he needs my attention, you know, to help him navigate that. My daughter, Jasmine, who's 9, you know, she's in year 5, so she's a bit more, you know, self-disciplined. She can go up there and sort of do it, but she still needs help with technology, with, you know, printing, like every sort of normal child does at that age. So it is really difficult to try and work from home when you've got that attention. And I think what it has made maybe them appreciate is they're like, oh, mum, you do really work hard. It's like, well, yes, when you're at school, I'm not out in the playground with my friends. You know?
They just don't get to see all of that.
Yeah, yeah. So it's made the days definitely longer, because what you could normally, again, do in the office and then pick them up and then go on, you know, you can't. Like we
don't have those breaks in the day.
Yeah,
totally. Claire and Nicky, do you feel the same about that then? I guess similar experiences, or have you got a different opinion?
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a challenge, but fun, and I think we've all learned to adapt, and I think it's going to be interesting now seeing how we adapt coming out of it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think for me, my children are a bit older, so had it have been at the beginning, because I was 5 months pregnant with 2 little ones when I first started the business, oh my God, I don't know how I'd have done it. But even as teenagers, I think I've had a real privileged time, because I've had all my children at home, can't go anywhere. So it's been absolutely beautiful. So I probably have the other end, but so yeah, I've felt very privileged.
And then
it's been a challenging year.
That's so lovely to hear, Nicky. That's such a nice view of the pandemic. I like that.
Oh.
It's definitely nice to take the positives where you can take them. And I guess in terms of, obviously, with COVID and this pandemic, coming out of it now, and it looks like we're sort of seeing a little bit of light towards the end of the tunnel, do you see or envisage sort of the beauty industry changing very much? And particularly for your individual businesses, do you see much change that you sort of need to sort of preempt and navigate around, or have any sort of predictions of how things might pan out?
Who are we going with?
Who's that for?
That's for everyone. So who
I think it's going to be a really fun time when we get out of lockdown. I think we're going to end up going all out. I think everyone's going to be getting their tans, their lashes. I think nails are going to get longer. There's going to be more nail art, brighter colors. I don't know. I have that feeling. So, you know, I might be completely wrong, but I think people are going to spend time getting back into beauty. I don't think people have forgotten it. I think they're itching to get back and have their treatments.
I think it's going to be different with some people, if I'm honest. I think I agree there's going to be a certain section of the population that will want to do that, and then there'll be others that will realise maybe they didn't need to spend as much time doing what they did. So they'll probably be a bit more choosier initially and thinking, right, I'm going to actually do the things that are, and it might be that's what pleases them for their mental health. So I think there's going to be a real mixture, and it's going to be interesting. I'm keen, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to come out of it. So, but I do think we're going to have to be on our guard, and we're going to have to be thinking a bit different, not on guard, but just watching,
Yeah, and I definitely think that in the world of fashion as well, I think people have become less materialistic, and I think they will start buying less clothes, buying more sensibly. But it'll be interesting to see if that happens with beauty, or will people, hopefully,
I think it'll be bad.
For our sake, that won't happen.
I think it'll be a slow thing. I think they'll start thinking that what you've just said, and then I think before we know it, we'll be back on that hamster wheel, and we'll be doing all the things that we used to do. So I think that's what I'm keen to see. I'm going to be fascinated by what happens now.
Yeah. It's curious, isn't it, to see how we come out and like behaviours and trends and just letting everyone out of the bubble and seeing what they go for.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Nicky, you spoke a little bit about having a mentor towards the sort of start of your journey. Claire and Pauline, is that something that you found beneficial as well? And who do you go to for your advice? Because it must be quite sort of difficult to get really solid advice and have that sort of mentor person that does inspire you and does lead you in that right direction. Have you got individual mentors that you have?
Well, I mean, I started the business with my partner, Johnny, who also happens to be my husband. So, you know, we do really sort of bounce off each other. And I think, you know, that if you do have a partner, or you do have, it doesn't have to be necessarily your life partner, you know, but just somebody that you go into it with that has the same, you know, inkling or can bring different skills to it. It really does help, I think, to have that person there to definitely bounce off ideas and just run ideas through as well. Because again, you know, Johnny's skill set was in PR and marketing, so he kind of knew more about how to bring a brand to market, whereas I was more from the hair and beauty industry, so I knew about products and how to make a good product and manufacturing and, you know, and things like that. And also kind of, you know, being the target consumer, you know, it was all sort of those, you know, into one big melting pot. Is really what happened. You know, so we kind of always mentored each other, always listened to each other, you know, and always sort of bounced ideas off. So, you know, again, and that's my star sign. I'm an Aries, so I'm a people's person. You know, I don't know if I would have ever wanted to have done it alone, but certainly doing it with a partner, both of us together, I really do feel like that's important and that we are a team.
Yeah, I think mentors are really, really important. At the beginning of my journey, I kind of mapped out who I found inspirational and basically stalked them until they said yes. And my mentor, when I started Perfect 10, was a lady called Tracy Woodward, and she's amazing and super well known in the beauty industry. And I remember seeing her talk at an event and I was so inspired. And I was really surprised when she was willing to go for coffee with me, and she was willing to talk to me and willing to give me that time. And I think I always thought, and I've done it since with other mentors and in different industries as well, don't be scared to approach people. Like, if you find someone inspirational, email them. And it's so easy nowadays with social as well, that you can DM them on Instagram, or people are happy for you to get into contact with them. And also they're flattered. They're like, yeah, what, you want to speak to me? That's amazing. So yeah, my advice would be to definitely get a mentor and have the guts to ask the question, will you be my mentor? Because I can guarantee the answer will be yes.
That's so nice.
Also,
that's so nice to hear.
And also look for people who where your skill sets are missing. So a bit like Claire said, you know, if you can spot somebody who has done something before you, even if they've done something very similar to you, but they're way ahead, go, honestly, you, like Claire said, they will absolutely help you, and change them as you go along. Don't stick with the same one, because it's I've had so many over the years, and I love it. I'm always open to having a chat and hearing what people have got to say. So
amazing. On that note, then, I guess you will all be sort of considered as great mentors to a lot of other young women who are looking to sort of enter the business world. What would be your sort of biggest piece of advice that you give anybody who's looking to start their own business? And this is definitely a great question that I want to ask all of you. So I guess I'll start with Pauline and we'll go around.
My biggest piece of advice is, if you've got an idea, you know, and you know, and you really, you know, have that passion and have that drive about it, because it's not easy. It's not like a quick money making thing. You have to love it, and you have to totally believe in it. But if you have that idea and you want to take it further, then absolutely, you know, I would say the first step is making the actual product, again, because again, we're product based. It's actually making the actual product. So you've got to get in touch with manufacturers. You've got to get samples made. You've got to be able to tweak those samples, you know, before you even think about the name or the packaging, or, you know, what color it's going to be. You've got to get the product right. And get it testing, you know, get it on friends and family and anybody that will try it and get their kind of like honest opinion. Because again, when we started out Dr. Paw Paw, we actually handed out in a white tube and said that we were doing it for a friend. because we wanted everybody's honest opinion. We didn't say, oh, me and John, you're thinking about starting this brand. And honestly, the feedback was amazing, but I would say you've got to get that product first, right?
Amazing, thank you. Nicky, what do you think?
Yeah, and almost even sometimes before that is, what is your point of difference going to be if you're going to do something better? There are loads of tools out there that you can go, right, where am I going to pitch? Let's see what the competition are. Where are they on price? Where are they on, ingredients? Where are they on delivery? Where are they on customer service? And then you can really plot on a graph, if you really wanted to be specific, and see where the gaps are. And then you can start inventing your product around where the gaps are. So you're trying to have a little bit of a point of difference. And I think the main thing is, when you do it, is to believe, because when I've looked over the years, when I first started the business, I absolutely knew this was going to work. I'd done my research, I'd run God knows how many people up, and I knew it was going to work. And then a few years later, I started faltering. I just started getting the jitters because we were getting bigger and everything. And then I absolutely realized that it was my own mind that had stopped believing. And then I just had to go, right, come on, Nick, believe, because there's always a solution. Things crop up all the time, the fence comes up and there's, how do you get over it? You're going to fall, etc. But there's always a solution. So the belief and never giving up is probably paramount if you want to make it.
That's really lovely as well. And what about you, Claire? Have you got a piece of advice that you hold really dear?
Yeah, I'd use your network. So you make sure your business is viable before it starts, because you might think it's the best idea and it's the perfect product or the perfect service, but actually no one else is willing to pay for it. It might be the perfect product or service, but they're not willing to. So I think, create a questionnaire and get it out there to people. And again, that could be putting it through people's doors on your road, or it could be, asking friends or using your friends on Facebook or Instagram, but just checking that you've got a business that is viable before it starts, that people actually want that product or service. And if you ask 100 people and 90 say yes, well, you're onto a good thing. And if only 5 do, then maybe you need to rethink it. Doesn't mean that it's a no-go. You just need to put your energy somewhere else, and it will happen.
Definitely, I think that's super wise advice there. And what's in store this year for 2021 for Dr. Paw Paw, Renew Beauty, Perfect 10 as well, and Sienna X? Have you got big plans individually for your businesses and things that you're sort of working on that you'd like to share? Sneak peeks.
Yes. I mean, I would say, we're not finished by any stretch of the imagination, in terms of either like sort of growing with products and also growing within our reach as well, sort of across the globe. So, I mean, definitely look out. I know we've just had a recent product launch, but we've definitely got more products coming out. And again, because again, you sort of, we are still sort of at the helm of it. We can make decisions very easy. We can get things through very sort of quickly. So, again, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen out of COVID. I do think there is going to be still a massive appreciation, for the service and getting things done as well. But, again, like we were saying before, I think it's really hard to predict. But yeah, there's definitely newness on the horizon.
Amazing. Claire,
yeah.
Nicky?
Yeah, we've got a couple of new things coming out. I'm going to be honest, after COVID, we did, pause a little bit, and we're going to watch this year and not invest too much in new, but definitely for next year. I just think I'm just going to watch, see what's happening post-COVID, but there's definitely a few new products coming out, but nothing, like new categories that's going to be like next year.
Yeah, same. We've got new colours for Biosculpture, for Evo Gel. We just launched Ellen. We actually launched that at the start of the pandemic in March. So we're really excited to sort of push that even further. And we've been overwhelmed by the response of people wanting to train in lockdown and add pedicures to their treatment menu. So yeah, I guess just keep going, keep educating, lots of beauty techs, and hopefully putting good products into their hands.
Amazing, thank you. So we've got some great Q&A questions that have come through as well from the audience today, and we've got about 10 minutes to go through some of these, so I will ask a few of these away. So Anthea has asked, are your companies doing anything differently post-COVID? I think you've pretty much summarised that quite well, haven't you, actually? So thanks, Anthea, that's a great question. Sophie Rose says, love all the advice. If you could give 3 main points to do when starting a business, what do you do?
I would do market research, your commercials, and really think about who your customer is and does that fit in where you are, in where you're going to start your business.
Yeah, I completely agree. And definitely the commercials. So many people think, oh, you know, I'll do this and we'll sell it at this price, but are people going to pay it? And actually, what are you buying that product in for? Or how much does it cost for you to put that service on? And think of every last thing. You know, I think sometimes people forget about their time and their energy as well. You know, you need to be paid. It's not just free.
Yeah, and I agree. It's definitely the research, you know, and the product, and also again having that USP, having like how are you going to do it differently, and again backing up what Claire said, it's got to be affordable. You know, it's got to be affordable as in for you as well as for, you know, the target audience you're going for.
Yeah. Definitely. We've got another great question from Bethany Catchpole here. So I have a skincare product that I want to launch. Oh, that's exciting. Have you, but have no idea how to start? What would you suggest?
I would say if she's already got the idea, she needs to get to a manufacturer to get her idea, to start to look at, again, the cost of it. You know, what's her target audience? Is it doable? Is it makeable? You know, if she's already got that idea and she really wants to do it, she's got to start to get the samples made and then do the research to see if people are going to like it and want to buy it.
The only thing as well, when you're dead right, Pauline, and you know, when you want to get your samples, you've really got to think, what's your suggested retail price going to be? Because you've got to give a target price for your product to be made to, and you could say to that supplier, I want this and I want that and I want it to do this and I want it to do the other and then you'll end up with this product that you were intending to sell for much lower. So you've really got to think about, you know, who are you aiming at, what's your final price going to be, and then you can work backwards to what that product's going to be made for. And then don't forget your packaging, you've got your labeling, there's a lot to consider. So don't be tempted to go too cheap, is what I'm saying, for your retail price.
That, I think, answers another question from Sophie, which was, what is the best way to price your product? And it's hard when you first start. And she says her tendency is to price lower than the competition. So I think all of those factors are so relevant, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Really got to think
I think you always look at your competition, don't you? And you say, oh gosh, I've got to be cheaper. You haven't got to be cheaper. It's how do you add the value to make somebody want to be able to pay more? That's whether it's a service or product.
We've got another really great question here. So in terms of advice on funding when you're starting up, VCs or crowdsources as an example, what have you found to be really good, and have you got any advice on that?
I think
I
think it depends on the type of business you're setting up and where do you want to take it. So I think often people have this dream of having a huge business and selling it, and actually sometimes owning the business, working in it, you can create such a nice lifestyle, and actually then growing it is when you then earn less money. So I think depending on where you want to take the business, is it a lifestyle business where you're going to earn a really good wage and have a work-life balance, hopefully, or is it something that you're looking to sell in 5-10 years? Depends on what sort of funding you can go after, because a VC is looking for a return on their investment. So if you're creating a lifestyle business, they're not going to get that from you. So I think that's, you know, and you're probably better taking a loan from a bank or something like that. So it's trying to map out where your business is going, and then you can find the right funding.
Brilliant.
Sometimes like your local council will have grants, because it absolutely depends what business we're talking about here. So if it's like a local business, you know, there's grants that are available from your local councils. You'll be surprised what you can get. But if it's a bigger business, like, yeah, it's a different kettle of fish. But when I started, it was I took a car loan out. I didn't have a car, but I just took a car loan out and put it on credit cards. But I had a pretty sure bet idea. I knew there was nothing else in the market, so I did take a big risk, but it was a calculated risk, but I'd really think carefully before taking those risks.
Thank you. We've got another really good question here from Emma McRae. So I have a product and it sells well within my network of makeup artists and enthusiasts. How do you take it to retailers?
Oh, it's like Dragon Den pitching your product to buyers nowadays. You just have to keep knocking on the doors that you want to knock on, and I would say knock on every door possible, because sometimes the one that you least expect is the one that says yes, and the one that maybe you really, really wanted said no. But don't lose heart, because a lot of people that said no to us definitely within the first 2 years, and now after 6-7 years saying yes to us.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, you know, I mean, you know, we just don't take no for an answer. So, you know, if we saw them, we cross their paths and you know, at events and stuff like that, we're like, oh, I remember us, you know, this is what's new, this is what's, you know, different, you know, things like that. But you just have to knock on every door and get your product out there, you know, however you can. Just keep knocking on those doors for those buyers.
And they're all interested in about why it's different, how you're going to support them, the retailer. You know, there is a lot of support there. So if you've got great social media presence, that will definitely help you in your pitch. But it's really thinking about your pitch, and Pauline is absolutely right. It's get in front of them. You might not be able to get in front of them face to face, but how do you do something different where they receive something in the post, but it's different to what other people would do. But definitely know why you're different.
Thanks, guys. I've got a couple more questions from you from a few last audience members. One of them is anonymous. She or he says, you are all so inspiring. Is there any moments where things went wrong?
Funny.
Always.
There's been loads of moments along the way, haven't there?
Yeah, definitely. I think, I mean, you know, again, we're self-taught. You know, I haven't, you know, done a business degree or, you know, anything like that. So, but you learn from your mistakes and you just never make them again. You know, again, because it's human error as well. So, you know, I've always believed in, you know, being kind, and, you know, if something goes wrong, you know, there's no point like losing it and shouting or screaming. You know, you really just have to be kind, you know, find the solution straight away, and just never ever make that mistake again. You know, that's what I've learned.
Sure. And we've got, I think, about a minute left, so we'll just squeeze this last question in from Emma Roberts. So great advice, love this. If you already have an established brand, how do you go about generating new ideas?
Well, my brain never switches off. I don't know about you guys, but it's like you're just always looking. You're always not necessarily for ideas, but because I'm a naturally curious person, I'm always picking things up, you know, and I don't know, they come up, just people suggest them as well. Sometimes you get people who are your customers and they suggest products. It's just, I don't know, my brain never switches off. So I come up with some wacky ones, some go through the door and some don't. So
Well, thank you so much, ladies. You've been absolutely brilliant to speak to you today, and we really, really appreciate you having you on here and supporting our event. So thank you, and hopefully everyone managed to get some really great advice from that. So just as a reminder as well, the next session that will be up will be nutrition to boost your mood, with top nutritionist Rhiannon Lambert. But thank you so much, and have a lovely evening, and thank you for imparting some of that wisdom with us all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.